Does that make sense? But we laugh, but you really be surprised at the conversations that come out. You follow me? You have to put yourself in your body and say, hey, what would I want to hear in the morning? What kind of message would I want to hear, and then turn the table around? Does that make sense? Because as a leader, if you have people in your team that don't answer your phone, look in the mirror and say, I wonder why. And that's not bad, but to say, hey, how can I change my message? Does that make sense? How can I make my message more compelling to where they want to pick up the phone? Or how can I make my message more compelling to where they call me?
That's right.
Big difference, isn't it?
That's right.
Big difference, okay? Number 7, you must have an agenda. You must have a goal or an agenda for every Mad Team T&I event. All right? I'm going to say this again. We get in the middle of this. You must have a goal or an agenda for every Mad Team or T&I event. Now, what is an event? A lot of people think this is just an event. Folks, you got to understand, an event is any public meeting, any conference call, any webinar, any weekly meeting, national trainings, ILC, everything that we do from a business perspective is an event, okay? The key goal and agenda is the number of legs and IPCs and guests. Now what that means, so many people, folks, so many people have a weekly meeting in their city. And all they say is, I'm going to the meeting. With no agenda. And this is one of the things that I've learned from Miss Missouri as well. Stop just showing up. Show up with a purpose. Show up with an agenda. Then sometimes people show up, man, I'm here early. No, you still showing up. You can show up 2 hours early, you still just showing up. But show up with a purpose, meaning the number of legs. What a leg is somebody you personally sponsor. Does that make sense? All right, what do you need to go Pearl?
You need 3 Jades, 24,000.
Sponsor Jades. So folks, why on earth, if I'm speaking to everybody that want to go Pearl, right? Why on earth would we show up to any event, any conference call, any convention, any webinar with not at least 3 legs on the call?
That's right.
If you're at this event and they say I'm going Pearl and I don't have 3 legs, how am I going Pearl? Because the best that can happen in those 2 legs is whatever, but I'm still handicapped. Does that make sense? One of the goals that we always have is to have 10 legs at every event. And that was the goal this week. We didn't hit it, but we have 6. Does that make sense? Because once you have the legs there, what happens as a leader, you have somewhere you can work now. If you got 1 leg here, what are you going to keep having a meeting with the same person? Hey, another meeting. Hey, I know it's just you, man. Another meeting. All right? So now, keep in mind, whatever your next event is, whatever your next meeting is, you have to have a goal. You have to have an agenda. How many legs are going to be in this room? How many legs are going to be on this call? How many legs are going to be on the Sunday Mad Team call? Everything you own, everything you do, you have to have those 5 to 10 legs with you. Because if they're with you, they're excited just like you are. Because I really believe if you come to an event by yourself, you get information, which is pretty good. But you come with your team, you get information and you make money because your team get information. Does that make sense? Yeah. If that makes sense, we got to stop moving around by ourselves. Does that make sense? Y'all with me? Yeah. The number of IPCs. Keep in mind, again, your IPCs are your team. A lot of times you got to re-sponsor them with information from T&I or from the Mad Team, whether it's on Sunday calls, 5:30 calls, whatever it is. So everything that you're involved in, every night before whether it's a call or whatever it is, every day, go down your report or go down your list of players. And you need to call your IPCs just like you call your guests. Does that make sense? If I got my 10 IPCs in the game with me, I don't take for granted that they're going to get on the Sunday night call. I shoot a text out, but I call the people, especially the ones that I'm thinking is shaking. And I use shaking, I don't mean shaking like that, but some of the ones that I don't think is fully in yet. You know what I mean? And or if I think somebody's not fully in, I might call them and then 3-way us on the call. Does that make sense? Yeah. But so many people say, I told them, man, you know, I text them the info. But what are you doing to make sure that they own? Because you'd be surprised. Sometimes it only takes about 2 minutes if you hear from Mr. Missouri, you hear from Mr. Lee or Miss Pompey on the call, they can have another 30 days with the energy. Because you have no idea what somebody's going through to know what they need to hear. Because they can hear something, that gives you another 5 days to work with them. Does that make sense? But then when you get that 5-day window, as a leader, you can't sit back. You got to get next to them and make something happen. Does that make sense? Folks, that's key, folks. And a number of guests. One of the things, again, I learned this from Mr. Missouri. One of the things that he had called me and he says, all right, what's the plan for the meeting tonight? I said, what you mean? You doing the plan, right? I'm here. I got the screen. No, man, that ain't no plan.
That's right. Yeah.
How many legs? You know what I mean? So now we're on the same page. What we got? I know the number of legs that's coming because I spoke to him. Not I'm guessing. I know the number of IPCs because, again, I spoke to him. You follow me? I'm engaged. I'm in it. And the J's or the JDs or the Pearls, I spoke to them and had the same conversation of what we look like, what you look like, what we got. The worst thing that you can say, man, I don't know, man. She should be all right. But the worst thing that can happen, seriously, if you're going for Jade, or you're going for JD Lee, or you're going for Pearl, and you don't have an idea of how many IPCs showing up, and they on your team, and you don't have an idea of how many guests collectively they're going to be on your team. How you going to the next 10 level and you don't even know what's going on in your business? And you're not making it go, you're not driving it. You're just in the car and it's driving you. Does that make sense? But when you start driving, we get there. Does that make sense? But if you don't drive, you can just go around in circles. And you won't even know if you're there or not. Folks, when you have this down and when you have 5 to 10 legs at every function that you're at, the ball is moving. And then when you know how many guests collectively, so then when you walk into a briefing, you can look at the sheet and see the number of guests and see the people that you spoke to. Now that's starting to get the ball rolling. Does that make sense?
Yes.
As so far, don't you think momentum is starting to build?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, number 8, this is key. You must use vision and a moving vision when talking to your players. What that means, if I know Miss Missouri is trying to go correlate, or I know Miss Missouri is trying to go Jade, I have to talk to him and talk to him about, hey man, when I'm using vision, it's like, man, I remember, man, wait, when you hit Jade, when we go to ILC, and you're a brand new Jade, man, how's that gonna make you feel? Man, everybody's waiting for you because you have to talk in existence. Does that make sense? Because if you don't use vision with your people, you can't move them. You can't move them. And if you're a visionary and you can tell people what's going to happen tomorrow, or you can tell people what's going to happen next month, and you can paint the vision and you can enroll them in that, they can see it. Does that make sense? Because we talk about it all the time. Like, man, we hit Diamond, man, and you get your Benz. I'm done after that. It's just something about a brother and a Benz. Oh, man, what you need me to do? That's all we got. Then you talk about, man, when you're a Diamond, man, and we go to ILC. You know, Mr. Missouri, man, we go to ILC. God, you're going to be killing them. So I'm hyped. You know what I mean? I'm hyped. But that's how our morning conversation at 6:30 started. So it's like, man, I just started walking around. I was like, man, I can't even lay back down now. Who up? You calling around, who up? All right, and a moving vision. This is key. This is a key talent right here. Folks, a moving vision is when you talk to people about things with dates that are moving. What that means, Mr. Missouri, we're going to get this information from the Black Tie event, and on Tuesday when we get back to PG, on Sunday when we get back to PG, we're going to promote, we're going to call and let the people know that missed it, that Tuesday is going to be off the chain. It's going to be off the chain. We got all this stuff going on. But then, in January, when we have the kickoff event, and then corporate come in, man, then we're going to have 3 or 5 brand new J's. But Brandon, when we go to ILC in April, we're going to have about 7 new pearls, 2 new diamonds. Can you see it? Can you see it happen? Are you excited? That's a moving vision. So you got to take them on a ride. You ask yourself, what's stronger? A still vision or a moving vision? All day. So as a leader, you got to perfect that to be able to enroll people in the vision based upon what they want, not what you want. Their vision has to be around what they want. Does that make sense? And another piece that I left out. Find out their reason why and their cause. Folks, if you don't get anything else, somebody will move because of a cause more than money any day. Any day. But as a leader, it ain't just money. It's what they're going to do with the money. If they're trying to send their child to private school and it's $800 a month, it's the private school. That's their cause, not the $800. It sounds the same, but it's their cause. If I know Mr. Missouri, I didn't see him at the meeting, or he's not calling me back, I got to tuck that cause. Hey, man, remember we said our whole goal, man, is to help you pay for private school for your son. Do you still want to do that? Because I still want to help you do it. So then it's your son. You're not going to put on him, are you? That sounds much different than the $800. Y'all with me on that? Yeah. So find out the cause. When you work with people and talking to people, find out their cause. Find out what it is that's going to make them do something. As opposed to just talking about money, 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 because you lose people. Does that make sense? Folks, if you use vision when moving people, you'd be surprised of the action that happens. All right? Number 9, you must have high energy weekly team calls. The moment I took control of my team, we implemented a team call. When I didn't have control, I had no team call. I just figured I talk to him, see him in the meeting. Y'all laugh. You know, I'm just telling y'all what y'all probably wouldn't say. When you have a team call, it's not just getting people on the phone and saying I'm here talking to them. It has to be high energy and it has to be informative. Because I'm telling you, as a leader, when you can no longer do something for your team that they can't do for themselves, you're not the leader anymore. I say it again. If you have a team and you can no longer do things for your team that they can't do, why are they going to follow you?